what's up, Shutter Mag? So, as the add-on to my article this month, what I wanted to do is kind of dig into some of the images that you've seen, as well as add in some behind-the-scenes stuff, and really dig in so you guys can see what it is that I'm talking about, and really get an understanding of what you should be seeing as well within the images. So I wanted to do this so I can really get in, close on them, show you guys some close-ups, draw on some pictures here, and really give you a good idea of what's happening. So looking at this first image here, we have the full-length shot against our white cyc wall. This is gray. The background is not white because the subject is pulled off of it. There's really isn't much light hitting the background. That's why you're going to have that darkness, whether it's a white background, any color. When you pull the subject off of it and there's minimal light hitting it, it's going to go dark. But beyond that, because this is a one light look, we're just using 3-foot octa here. You see the shadow that's going in here under the neck. And then, like I said in the article, you have the clothing. The clothing here is pretty dark, not much detail in there. That's what's happening from the fall off from our one light. Given that our octa is coming from right around up here and coming down, we're not getting enough light hitting in the clothes around there. So that's an issue you're going to run into when you're using one light. Your alternative is going to be, like I said, to get a big light source, like a 5-foot octa, 6-foot, like parabolic umbrella, things like that to light the entire body, or you're going to have to go in and get a second light. The other thing is images like this are going to look a little flat. There isn't going to be any separation from the background. So if you look along here, it looks like the subject is kind of just part of that background and not popping out. They don't have any dimension or depth. So if we move on, here's a close-up. So you can see the strong shadows underneath there. Again, the gray background, the darkness that's going on the bottom part of the image in the clothes down here. Solid catch lights on the top portion of the eyes coming in. But now what I want to show you is when you just throw in a simple $20 reflector, or really anything, any kind of reflective surface, what's going to happen? We're going to open up these clothes, and we're going to open up the shadows and fill in the rest of the image. So here's a pullback that we have. We put in our reflector. You can see now the brightness, the detail, everything is in here, in the clothes, the necklace, bracelet, everything is lit up right here. The neck, that shadow is all gone, and you have the double catch lights that I mentioned earlier. So from the octa coming from above, and then you have the reflector kicking that back in. Here we used the silver surface of the reflector. That's going to give you a little more power. If you didn't want as much fill, just use the white part of it, and you'll minimize what's coming back in there from your key light. So here's another look. Without that, you can see how everything is in here is clean and even. More details in the necklace, the bracelet. The shirt's a little dark. That's just because of the way I edited the black and white for that. But you can see it back here in the color, that there's more detail. I just bumped up the contrast in here and darkened that up just for my own purposes. If we move on here, this is going to be our 2-light look. So we have our octa coming in from camera right. You can see the big, nice catch lights, circular from our Octa. And then along here, you'll start to see what I mean with the definition and dimension. If we trail along here, you can see the light that's in there, and it starts to shape our model coming down there. And actually, if you're looking at the side on the left, and then if you compare it to right around here, you can see that this side on the right looks much flatter than if you look over here at the arms and the neck and the hair. Here it seems more to come away and separate itself from the background. And here this still looks a little flat, so you can see what we mean when we talk about adding dimension and depth to an image. You've got the backlight in the hair coming all the way down around, shaping that arm for the edge light. Again, a little, not as much light as you would want, more in this area here. Again, because of that one light source as our key light, and not having a bigger key light or having more fill from below. Here, again, you could simply pop in a reflector down here, or you can put cardboard or any white surface on the floor, and it will kick back up and open up in here a little bit to balance that off. So this is really just to illustrate to you guys what you're going to encounter and some limitations when working with just that one light, no fill. Let's see here. Okay, so this is just more of a closer up shot of that. This one you can really see right in here, coming down the hair light, coming down onto the shoulder, adding that definition and dimension. So for me, when using a cross light, two light setup like this, it's going to make your images look more polished, more professional, adding that dimension. I did spend a lot of time on writing about one image and showing more images that were with one light, just because I know that's what a lot of people are working with right now, and I want you guys to get comfortable with that and definitely see what you can get done with just one. But really, you're gonna want to start getting more gear so that you're able to produce just a whole variety of images. You're going to make yourself more valuable, essentially. You're going to be able to produce better work. You're going to be able to attract different clients when you're able to produce a higher quality of images with your lighting. If we move on to 11, this is a 3-light, one of our 3-light setups. So for this, what we did is, in place of a reflector, you can see when we come in here, you have the catch lights right there, right? And the ones on top. So the ones on top are coming in from our key light, and then for, that's a 2x3 Octa. And then from below, we used a 1x3 strip box on a B1 as well. So here's where you can use a second light to open up your shadows, open up the clothing in here, and fill all of this in. And when you're using a light, you have a lot more flexibility to really get exactly what you want from the power. Because with just a reflector, you're just kicking back whatever you're throwing out from your key light. So when you're using an actual second light for it, you have full control to get the desired effect that you want. And then we have our third light. So for our typical 3-point lighting setup, we have our key, we have our fill, and then we have our backlight. And here, the backlight on grid, 10-degree grid, you can see it shaping, coming around into here, right on the side of the face, down and around. You can see the little hot spot on the shoulders right there, and in the hair here as well. So that is creating that separation from the subject on the right side of her body. And again, you can compare it kind of here and here. You can see how on this side it's there's more dimension, more separation from the background, where here it still looks a little bit flat. On our final image, we did something a little bit different for you guys, to show you a different way. So for this, again, we did things kind of a little off so that I could illustrate some issues for you guys. So again, we have our key light coming in from the right. Here's our circular catch lights from the octabox. Lights coming in from there. So because that's our only light source, coming in from there, you can see the shadows and everything's super dark. Down in here, here, here as well. So in this case, what we did was, because I didn't want to open this up too much for you guys, I just wanted to put a little fill on the side of the face right in this area. I didn't want it as dark, so I just put a 1.3 by 1.3 softbox focus right on this area in there, just to open that up a bit so I could illustrate to you what's happening down here. So ideally, in this case, what you want to do is, if you think it's too dark in here and you want to open this up, you could use a strip box, 1x3, 1x4, put a grid on it if you want to focus it more. Aim it right in this area here, and you'll open up all this shadow area. Additionally, for our backlight, we didn't use it in a traditional backlight way, because you can see a traditional backlight setup would shape all this. You would have more light in the hair, down around the shoulders, separating that. So to show you a difference from the previous image, where we're not using it as an edge or a typical backlight to create that separation, we just put our 10-degree grid right in here, in this area, around like that. And it's just highlighting the hair as more of a kicker light, very focused, just to put a little depth here, again, so you can see the difference from using different modifiers or just aiming the light in a particularly different location. Ideally, there's a ton of options out there, so many different things you can do when you start adding more and more lights. The one thing that I found is I just don't have enough, and I keep wanting to add more and getting more creative and doing a ton of different things. But the thing you got to do is you just got to start using them. Use your lights, learn them. It is something that is going to separate you from a lot of other photographers that are out there, if you can really master your lighting and use it to make a better business for yourselves. That's a wrap for this video this month. I hope you guys are enjoying everything. If I can help any of you out, feel free to reach out at any time. And thanks again, and we'll see you next month.